Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm glad you're here. Okay, first, thank you so much to everyone who attended Breathwork for Alchemy on Friday, or those of you who registered and then have watched the replay. It was maybe one of my favorite breathwork and favorite healing workshops and experiences I've ever done. So thank you to everyone who sent and lent your energy to that beautiful experience. Second is there's actually only 2 messages today, which is kind of a little different, but I was trying to connect to like message 3 and I couldn't get it to coalesce. Like it wasn't really coming together. So then I just heard just go with 1 and 2. So a little surprise plot twist. If you chose message number 3, like if you came here expecting this, let that be a message to you that change is good. And sometimes we get, thrown curveballs, and that it is okay to adjust accordingly. I know that's something that I'm working with. So hopefully there's wisdom in there for you too. So, all right, go ahead and close your eyes and you can ask your question. And just really feeling into if you're going to be supported by message number 1 or message number 2 today. And all right, here we go. Okay, so message number 1, the main feeling here was essentialism. And your guides were showing, number 1, it felt like you were teetering on the edge of something. So that could be a couple ways, right? You could be almost at your kind of wit's end and you're kind of on the edge of falling apart. Or it could be that you're on the edge of a big breakthrough and there's just a little bit left to go before you kind of topple and have enough momentum to create that change. But either way, there was this sense of essentialism being so important right now. They were showing that what you're working through so there's a couple things. Again, if you're trying to expand and go beyond and reach new heights, that it's going to require you to get down to the basics of things, and that you're going to have to it's going to be saying no to plans or saying no to offers or opportunities, staying really focused, really disciplined with only the things that are most essential towards the goal of what you're wanting to accomplish or experience. The other side of that, or the other vein that I kind of saw this message in was almost that as if you're carrying a lot. So maybe there's a lot of grief or sadness, or you're working through big emotions, and that you need to be able to conserve energy while you process that. And there's a couple analogies they were showing. Number 1, when there's a trauma to the body, all of the blood pools to the core to allow there to be resources for the vital organs, basically, is kind of the vibe. Or if you're driving and you are running out of gas, you turn off the air conditioning or do these other little hacks to make sure that what resources are available are being used for the things that are most important. And that was very much what the message was. So as you're in this moment of either expansion and kind of getting to the next level of something, or if you're processing maybe a lot of grief or trauma or loss, that it's really important for you to conserve the resources, the energy, and what is available for you to be able to be used for only vital functions. So getting back to the basics. I'm just looking at you're not gonna fucking like this. I don't even know if I should share it. But it looks like this is a 4-month timeline. So if you're asking about well, how long or whatever, it looks through the next 4 months. So that's kind of, maybe through the end of the year, a little bit before, it looks maybe through November, is how long you're gonna have to kind of go into preservation mode to be able to get to the other side of whatever's happening for you. But that it's really worth it. And, also too, that your guides understand that that's what's happening. And it's not that you're like not doing enough, or you're like, you're like this like toxic hustle culture shit coming up. But it's like no, like I'm doing this the way that I'm doing so that I can do the thing that's actually most important to me. I'm saying I'm saying no to like 16 workouts a week so that I can actually have the energy to sleep, or have the time to like sleep 8 hours a day, because my body needs rest. So it's kind of that thing. It's like, it might look like a sacrifice or feel like a sacrifice, but really reframing that towards like, this is what's most essential right now, and all of my resources are going to go towards this thing that's most important, is really the vibe. Okay. Hope that makes sense. Let me know how that lands. Okay, and then message number 2 was really interesting. So I say that all the time. Are you guys sick of me saying it's really interesting? It's all very fascinating to me. I'm still like amazed and fascinated by this work all these years later and all these messages later. So message number 2 was like, I saw like, it's like a funny little thing. Like I saw almost like a cactus being planted in the forest, and then like an evergreen being planted in the desert. And the message here was like really about environment, how important, your guides ask you, like, are you planted in the right environment? And the answer feels like no, to be quite blunt with you, that like you are saying you're like wanting these things, or you're like desiring this different lifestyle, but your environment is not actually conducive to that. And that's like across the board. When I say your environment, I don't just mean the physical geography of the place that you live, although that too, but it's like, are the people around you, are the places that you frequent, are the, the types of like material, like all of it, like, is that conducive to what you want to experience? So for example, if you're like, I'm really slowing down and wanting to like embrace a more flow state, a more feminine state, a more like being, rather than like all this like hustle culture of doing, but you're following like 100 million girl bosses on Instagram, or you're only like surrounding yourself with people that are in that kind of like hustle culture or mentality, then like, like it's probably not going to work. That's probably more like a cactus being planted in a forest than in the desert, kind of where it belongs. So that was the big message. So like, this is a great time to kind of look around and see like, okay, these are the things I'm saying that I'm wanting. How are the people, places, and things around me either supporting and reflecting that back to me, or are they out of alignment with it? The other like thing that was interesting here, like this felt also like if you're preparing for pregnancy, which again, it can be like literal or metaphoric, but it was almost that like often when we are trying to like conceive or prepare our body for pregnancy, like we do, if we have the blessing to be able to like do as many things as possible to be able to prepare our body for that, like maybe you add different like supplements, or you move your body differently or whatever, like you're like almost trying to create like as good of an environment as possible for you to do this like thing that's really important, which is, growing life. And so your environment changes. You do as much as you can to make like the best environment possible for that fetus, for that baby to grow. And that's very much like the vibe of this message, was like, there are things that should be shifted and could be shifted in your environment to potentially allow it to be more supportive for whatever it is that you're gestating. And I don't just mean that as a thing, it also could be a state of being, right? So it's, if you're like, I really want to live in like more harmony with nature, but you live in like a high-rise building in New York City, you're like, I don't know, like maybe you're starting to feel the ping of like, what would it look like to invite more nature into my life, to either find nature where I am, or to change my environment so I can be around more nature. So I'm rambling now, but hopefully you kind of understand the vibe, which is like there's things in your environment that like could definitely be shifted to be more supportive. Okay, we feel complete there. Yeah, good. The messages definitely go together today, you guys. So like do with them and work with them how you want. There's definitely a harmony there. But yeah, I know I'll leave you with just 2 today. It's very interesting, but I hope that what you needed found its way to you. I know that what you needed found its way to you. And if you have questions or comments or are wanting additional support, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to be that for you in any way that I can be. All right, I love you. Have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.